Assalamu alaikum. This is Sunday Times, and today we are here with Chairman Imran Khan, PTI, and we're going to ask him a few questions, and you're going to get to know him a little bit better. A very important question for me is, what would you like the youth of Pakistan, as in the young men and women, to learn from your experience and what you're doing right now?
That life is life without struggle is a waste of human potential, number one. And it's struggle what makes people grow and evolve and discover their potential, which all of us have. And struggle in the right direction. So when I was young, much younger, my mother used to make me pray at night that Allah show me the right way, show us the right path. And when I was growing up, all my heroes, while I would pray for the right path, but all my heroes were on the wrong path. All the role models were film actors and pop stars and sports stars. So while we grew up thinking that the right path is the boring path, the real path is the other one. But through my own experience, I actually realized that what I used to think was the glamorous and exciting path, actually, most of the people, because with my experience, I managed to see all sides of lives, and I realized that I understood the wisdom of the straight path, because the straight path sometimes is much more difficult, but there is inner contentment and peace. The other path outwardly is glamorous, but inside it is torment. I've seen people tormented. I've seen people devastated by that life, nervous breakdowns, alcoholism, addiction, broken families. So it's only later in my life I began to understand the difference between the two paths.
Who is someone you would, ask young people of Pakistan and generally to look up to and take inspiration from?
Well, Arshad Sharif, right now, he's someone who the young people in this country should admire, because he was threatened. He knew his life was in danger. He left the country not because he was scared, like Nawaz Sharif. He left the country because they had choked his voice. He was standing up for what he believed because they command respect. Sadiq or Amin. So our Prophet's two great qualities was Sadiq and Amin, means the truthful and fair and just. Because a leader, if he's not truthful, he doesn't have the credibility and doesn't command respect. And if he's not fair, then again, people don't respect him, because he must command respect. He must not demand respect. A top businessman who has not taken the risk of losses. There's no soldier, no great general who's ever earned medals who hasn't controlled the risk of death. And similarly, sportsmen, all great sportsmen eventually conquer their fear of failure.
So how do you keep your strength and how do you keep yourself, happy and positive? Because you're here all day, you're so exhausted, you're hardly eating anything. That's another question I want to ask. What do you eat when you're here? So how do you keep yourself going? How do you manage your stress or?
Look, it's the goal. It's your vision. If I was doing this for a career, I would have given up 26 years ago. In fact, I can't imagine politics as a career. I think if someone told me that, have politics as a career, I would put a gun to my head. Because it is the most, it makes no sense, to go around asking for votes and, just so that you can become a minister or something. So for me, there are two reasons why people do politics. One is career politician. And if you look all over the world, they don't command respect from the people. because they're hypocritical. They talk about serving the people and actually they're serving themselves, and therefore all over the world they're looked down upon. On the other hand, when politics is for a mission, then you follow the path of all the prophets of God. All the messages were in a sense political. But then it becomes sacred when you're actually doing it for a mission, which is what Qaid-e-Azam did. Why do we, if it is our belief that respect and humiliation are from Allah, then why do we respect Qaid-e-Azam? And we will always, because he wasn't doing it for himself. And similarly, Mandela will always be respected in South Africa because he sacrificed 27 years of his life in prison for the people of South Africa. And throughout all the great Sufis of the subcontinent, hundreds and thousands of people every year visit their shrines. Why? Because they came for humanity. So there are two types. And so in my opinion, if I was doing this for myself, then I would have, as I said, got tired 26 years ago. But this is for a bigger cause, for justice and freedom. Justice gives people freedom. You know, why all the prophets stood for justice? All prophets of God, they came for justice. Whether it was Hazrat Musa against the Pharaoh, whether it was Hazrat Ibrahim against Nimrud, whether it was Jesus, Hazrat Isa against the Roman imperialists and the Jewish elite, they were always fighting for justice, freedom to speak, to have their views, and they stood for all of them stood for justice. So justice is the most important thing that gives freedom to human beings. And societies that have justice, they prosper. So all the societies in the world today which have rule of law, justice means rule of law. Justice means everyone equal before law.
What is that one thing that gives you energy when you wake up in the morning and says, today I have to do this because when I look at this or when I think about this or this is a thought process that I have, this is my intention for the day. What is that one thing that gives you that energy?
Purpose, which is this mission which I've been on 26 years. So I wake up every morning and I have a plan. When I was in government, there were so many crises, so I had to wake up in the morning and think, now there are these 10 crises, so today I will tackle 3 and so on. So you form your day according to your mission or your vision. And motivation comes from following your vision and accepting that there will be good and bad days. You see, never think. There is no such thing as anyone reaching success in a straight line. It is always in cycles. So you have good days, you have bad days. But whenever you have bad times, that is the time you reflect where you've gone wrong. It's a time for correcting your mistakes. It's a time for analyzing, your mistakes and then correcting them and then working hard to remove them. So anyone in the world who has succeeded in any field, he has always gone through these cycles. And the success is not how you cope with the good times. It's when you're down, how do you cope with the bad cycles. So how high you will go depends on how well you deal with the bad moments.
So you've always been considered a fashion icon.
Fashion icon?
Yes, you have. And these days everybody's talking about your classes. So how do you plan your wardrobe?
Look, until I married Bushra Begum, I had once done shopping, I think it was in 1987. Why do I remember? Because I was touring England at the time and Pakistan TV, and so this Italian boutique said, look, if you wear our suit, we will give you so many of these suits. Those suits lasted me for 20 years.
Wow.
Okay? And I never go shopping. And then, ever since I decided to wear shalwar kameez, my life became easy. Because I never had to worry about designer clothes or anything. And so, and I used to wear any shalwar kameez, the first I used to wear. But who has changed my wardrobe is Bushra Begum. It's she who has actually now, she chooses my clothes, she knows what shalwar kameez to wear, and so on. So she's the one who dresses me since the past 4 years. But before that, I promise you, the first thing I used to see, I used to wear.
What is the secret to your vitality and your fitness? I think everybody would want to know that.
It is throughout mankind, throughout human history, there are only two ways for you to be fit. Watch what you eat and exercise. Anyone who wants to have a better quality of life, I don't mean long life, I mean better quality of life, because you can live long and live a terrible life. It depends on these two things, and both together. What do you eat, and how much exercise do you do? Because you see, the human body, Allah has made this human body is, only Allah could have fashioned the human body. And what is it? The more you put pressure on it, the better response. So if you starve yourself, fasting, I get my fittest when I'm fasting. Why? Because when you're fasting, the body is responding to there not being enough food. So the immunity system in the body, Allah has created a body such that immunity system comes into play. And so it fights, the body then fights hunger, body fights, if you put it under stress, when you exercise, you put it under stress. So it then responds to that. The moment you stop putting it under stress, the body decays. This is how it's been made. So there's a verse in the Quran that we were made to struggle. Humans were made to struggle. And you achieve how much you struggle. So therefore, and there's another verse. There's a saying of the Prophet that seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Now seeking knowledge means you're striving all the time. That's how you learn knowledge. It doesn't mean reading fun books. It means seeking knowledge. So the mind responds to that and it stays alive. And so, you find people at 60 years old, suddenly they retire and they age because the struggle goes out of their life. So, so the critical is, short answer to your question, the more you make yourself struggle body and eat properly.
A message to people of Sunday, the people who follow Sunday and the youth of Pakistan. What is the message you like to give?
That there is I keep repeating this saying of Maulana Rumi in my speeches. He said, Maulana says, when Allah has given you wings, why do you crawl on the floor as ants? So all of us have great potential. And because, we don't strive, we don't have big vision, we don't have big imagination, we don't have big dreams, and then we don't struggle, we end up sort of, just like animals. Because animals come in this world, eat, drink, produce children and die. But humans have a much bigger purpose. And Pakistan is a country with great talent, great resources. Allah has given us great resources. But we unfortunately have failed ourselves because neither have the people tried to change their destiny, except now I see a big change amongst the youth. Because when youth becomes non-political, when there's no difference between them and animals, because human is political, because human stands for justice. As Aristotle said, that if there's injustice in society, everyone will take part in politics and oppose injustice, except two types: the selfish and the timid, the cowardly. Only these two types. Because either you think of yourself or you're too scared to stand up to the powerful. And that's how society decays. because the majority of people are selfish and cowardly, the society decays.